Hey everyone, welcome in. Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football, late on a Thursday night, Friday morning. And the reason I'm on here tonight is to let you know what's coming up this weekend, right here at Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. So check out the videos that we're producing right now, where we are producing position previews for teams across the country. All sorts of teams. Wow, we've hit Ole Miss, LSU, Alabama. We've got Auburn coming up. We've got Florida and Kentucky coming up. West Virginia just released. Pitt, Clemson, Miami coming up. Florida State coming up very soon. Ohio State, we just started to work on. At Michigan, we have just released a few of those positions. So every position on the football field, quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end, offensive line, defensive line, cornerback, safeties, linebackers, punters, kickers, and special team return specialists. Every position, as many teams as we can possibly get to. And we'll make it out to the Pac-12 and the Big 12 as well. We've got a record scheduled for Oklahoma and Georgia and Penn State tomorrow. Oklahoma, Georgia, and Penn State tomorrow. Those videos to be released very soon. I will check out the live chat room as well. I want to let you know that I am more than excited. I know I don't show it right now, but it is 1 o'clock in the morning, and it's been a long day, but I wanted to jump on here to let you know that I am excited. I think I said that I am excited for a couple live streams coming up this weekend. 11 a.m. Eastern time, 11 a.m. Eastern time, Friday morning. That's tomorrow morning. That is in a mere 10 hours from now. We'll be on the line with Brent Beard, Florida radio personality, to talk SEC. That's over on Patreon and the Voice of College Football Community. The Voice of College Football Community. Make your way on over to Patreon. So this is the first. This is the first of a series every week where we are going live and we're talking to you. So even though Brent's a radio personality in Florida, the reason that he was given the invite is because he signed up on Patreon. Signed up on Patreon, joined the college football community there, the Voice of College Football Community, of course, there on Patreon. And so the idea came from all of you, many of you, several of you who suggested and recommended to me, hey, Mark, this is what you need to do. It would be a blast, and we would love it if you would invite us on the live streams. We know we're in the chat room, but we want to be on the live streams talking college football with each other and with you. And so now, starting tomorrow morning, I'm providing that opportunity, and Brent just so happened to be the first person that accepted an offer. But in future weeks, I would like to bring on kind of a roundtable discussion and have three or four of you on with me at the same time to talk college football, and we can just kick it around and have a great time. Just have a good old time talking college football and possibly some other things as well. So that is one feature that's coming up that has already started and will officially launch Friday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern time on Patreon at the Voice of College Football Community. Right there is my discussion with you, talking college football each and every week. And Friday morning might turn out to be a really good time to do that, especially once the college football season starts. Maybe Friday night would be a good time as well, except when college football season starts, unless we all watch a game together. We watch the Friday night game together, probably. Maybe we do that. All right. Reason to get excited at number 2 would be that we've also got another live stream that has already launched, but it's going to be the continuation of a series that we started on Patreon at the Voice of College Football Community, where I will be reacting for the first time to your viewer comments. My response to your viewer comments in a live stream. That'll be a whole lot of fun. I still need to figure out what time that's going to be launched live this weekend. I believe that's going to be Saturday late morning. Saturday late morning seems like the best time at this point for me to go live on Patreon at the Voice of College Football Community to answer your viewer comments. And that's always sometimes fun, sometimes annoying, sometimes amusing, sometimes intriguing, sometimes insightful, sometimes downright pathetic in regards to some of the comments that I receive here at Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. Over 36,000 thus far this season. 36,000 comments this calendar year 2019 compared to about 6,000 at this point last year. So thank you. That all goes back to your engagement in what we do here. All right, before I join the live chat, also want to point your attention to last Wednesday night. So just one night ago. Man, so many things get done in the course of a day and so many things happen. That seemed like it was like a week ago. It was just one night ago that we launched our Florida State live stream, Florida State Seminoles Live at 7 o'clock Eastern Time. So we're going to be here every Wednesday night at 7 o'clock Eastern Time with some of the best bloggers, broadcasters, and writers covering Florida State football. We had Jason Parker from Chat, Logan Robinson from Knoll Game Day, and of course, James Coleman, Big Game James Coleman from Fifth Quarter College Football on our Florida State live launch on Wednesday night at 7 o'clock, and we'll be back next Wednesday at 7 o'clock Eastern Time. So tell your friends, your family, your social media acquaintances that Wednesday night is the night, especially the night. Of course, you want to lock in each and every day, but the night to lock in to Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. Wednesday night at 7 o'clock, we launched our Florida State live stream. Then at 9 o'clock, after our weekly conversation with Cam Underwood from State of the U on Miami football, 9 o'clock Eastern Time every Wednesday night. I hope you joined us for our Ohio State Buckeyes live stream, and that will come your way each and every Wednesday night at 9 o'clock Eastern Time. So I'm excited about Wednesday nights. It's a bit of a drain. It's a long day, but it's well worth it to talk college football from 7 to 10 o'clock with Florida State, Miami, and Ohio State in the spotlight. Yes, I've had Clemson fans, Michigan fans, fans of other fan bases reach out to me and say, what about us? Well, what about you? Unfortunately, because of my schedule, and this is why I need to do this full time, because of my schedule elsewhere, it's really the only night that I can dedicate for sure every week to those live streams. I would love to do 2 or 3 live streams every night and get to Clemson, Michigan, Alabama, USC on down the line. All right, let's check out the live chat. And I would love to get your feedback on what we produce here at Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. And of course, we're always here to talk college football. And so if you have any comments or questions, I am certainly here to serve. All right. We've got Big Bubba Blue. Morning. Yeah, officially it's morning. Adam Byers, what's up, Mark? Good to see you, Adam, as always. MCD Sports 4 is on the line as well. I'm sure all psyched up about Maryland football and the Terps opener against, I know their big non-conference game this year is against Syracuse. Hopefully they will, for MCD Sports 4's sake, dispose of the orange, much like they have the Longhorns the last 2 years. The Beast 96. The Beast will tell you, excuse me, I am getting over a bit of a head cold and a cough that I've had for about 10 days to 2 weeks. It hasn't really affected my fine. Yes, it really hasn't affected me too much that I think that you can tell, but there's a little bit of cough there. So excuse me. But the Beast 96, we had a phone conversation with him just the other day. And so what I would ask all of you who are on the live stream right now, and for those who will watch the recording, is if you would like to have a conversation with me to talk about the channel, to talk about what I can do better, to talk about your recommendations, and to talk about our exciting recent initiatives that involve the Voice of the College Football community, of course, then leave me your email address in the comment section. Or better yet, if you don't want your email address out there like mine is, just go to MarkRogersTV at Gmail. So just send me your phone number at MarkRogersTV at Gmail. MarkRogersTV at Gmail. Send me your phone number. The Beast will tell you. We'll have a nice conversation talking college football, but mostly about the initiatives that I would like to share with you. All right, Big Bubba Blue, can we please tell the national media to keep Michigan on the down low? We going to look dumb if we go 10-2 again. Well, Big Bubba Blue, it depends on what that 10-2 looks like. If that's a loss to Notre Dame, close at home, and that's, let's say, a loss at Wisconsin by a field goal, but you beat Penn State, Michigan State, and the Ohio State University, and go to the Big Ten championship game and cap that a 10-2 season off with a win over, let's say, a Wisconsin, especially if that's a rematch and you get revenge for the regular season loss and you're 11-2 as Big Ten champions. I think most Michigan fans would be just fine with that. We got Bespoke on the line. What up, Mark? And Bespoke, I got to let you know that this is the first time that I've seen your handle anywhere on Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. So you know what that means. Bespoke. Welcome to Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. Thank you so much for joining us and becoming part of our community here. So I would love to know who you root for and how long you've been watching. The Beast 96. Mark, you're the GOAT. Much like Steve Hellwagon last night from Bucknuts, who, following my dissertation about the live stream that we are launching over on the Voice of College Football community on Patreon, where I am responding to viewer comments, and sometimes I have to dole out a bit of an education on college football. Steve delivered some classic lines about it being a graduate level course. Much like that, the Beast never disappoints in regards to being very kind in his regards for me. So thank you so much, the Beast 96. Jake Summers, what do you think the impact of Josh Gaddis will be? So we've had Steve Dace from Michigan Podcast on. We've also had James Yoder recently from James Yoder's Michigan Podcast on as well to talk the Wolverines and the transformation of the offense. And so on, excuse me, the downside would be that Shea Patterson has to deal with a sixth consecutive season of dealing with a new offensive coordinator and have to learn a new offense with new terminology. On the plus side has to be that Shea Patterson is comfortable with this offense, and beyond him, by all accounts, based on the research I've done and the feedback that I've received, all the key position players at the skill positions in particular, and even the offensive linemen, are to a man accustomed to this style of offense. This should be a good fit. This should get the wide receivers that have been underutilized effective. This should get them involved in the offense and not waiting till the third quarter to see a football thrown their way. And wide receivers in particular. So think about this. Every position on the field on any given play is typically involved in that play. Now, sure, the running back may run a sweep to the left, and so the cornerback on the other side of the formation doesn't even get near him. Yes, but in terms of mentality, everyone is engaged and involved in every play, because run or pass, that play could involve that player, except the wide receiver. The wide receiver knows, okay, we're midway through the third quarter and we've thrown 4 passes and we've run the ball 23 times. And therefore, I'm checked out. And it's going to be difficult to get me psychologically back in the game. And they know on a given play, the classic, all-time classic example of this is the 1967 NFL championship game, the Ice Bowl. I'm sure most of you have heard about it and maybe seen the documentaries. The Green Bay Packers against the Dallas Cowboys, Bart Starr via the block of Jerry Kramer winning the game with a few seconds left on the quarterback dive. Bob Hayes, a Olympic sprinter and widely known as the fastest player in the NFL at the time and for years to come, basically gave away to the Green Bay defense because it was so cold out when the Cowboys were going to run and when they were going to pass, because he put his hands in his pocket, either in the pockets of his he wore like a sweatshirt, a hoodie under his jersey, and he had a kind of a pack outside of the jersey in which he warmed up his hands if it was a running play. And he was a dead giveaway for the entire game, and the Cowboys apparently did not notice this to try to correct this. But anyway, if the wide receivers checked out, they will sometimes be checked out if they were not given the ball. All right, so that's what I think of the Josh Gaddis offense without seeing Michigan's spring game. I missed Michigan's spring game. All right, Skanktopotamus just checked in. Good to see you, Skanktopotamus. William Lee as well. Gaddis is an interesting coach. He is at that. William will try to connect as well. Bill O'Reilly, I wanted to see on Wednesday's Ohio State stream what the NCIS fanatic asked about opinions on President Michael Drake. Okay, we'll get to that. Big Bubba Blue, anyone catch the finals game number 1? Going to be a good series, possibly. I predicted Golden State to win 4-1, so my pick is still alive. I have no investment in that series, could care less. Adam Byers, Toronto's front court kicked arse tonight. MCD Sports 4, I know you reach out to me, Mark. Yes. Did we get a chance to talk, MCD Sports 4? Yes, we did. I believe we talked on the phone. Forgive me if I don't remember the conversation. I've talked to about 25 people. Big Bubba Blue. Here in Ann Arbor, we would rather go 8-4 and beat Ohio State lately than go 10-2 and off to Indy. I totally get that. Jake Summers, I've watched so many of your videos, but I just subscribed. Sorry it took so long. Jake, we appreciate your honesty and thank you so much. I wish a lot of people would take Jake's lead. It would be probably surprising for some of you to see the statistics on the videos that, okay, I'm just going to use some round rough numbers, but typically on a video that gets, let's say, 1,000 views, probably 50 or 80 of those people subscribe to the channel out of those 1,000 people. So I got to think, if you love college football, even if you don't agree with me every single time, that you appreciate what we do here in delivering the best in analysis each and every day. Bart Starr was a legend, and it's ironic, NCIS Fanatic 21, that, of course, I go to the reference of the Ice Bowl, and Bart Starr passed away, one of the all-time NFL greats, just the other day. All right, Lou Zer, listen up. Next Tuesday, we will have Alicia De Artola from Reign of Troy on to talk USC football. That is next Tuesday. So those videos are most likely going to be released Wednesday, Thursday, Friday of next week. Okay, Lou? USC's coming up very soon. We're going to we are going to provide you with position previews. Yeah, I need some water. My throat is done. All right, Deep Barat's on the line. NCIS Fanatic 21, I'm thinking Tua made Josh Gaddis look good at Bama. The Bama talent has made a lot of assistant coaches look good over the past 10 years. Deep Barat, Michigan is not beating Ohio State. NCIS Fanatic 21, Josh Gaddis will probably flop as an offensive coordinator at Michigan. Shanktopotamus, Bill Buckner just passed as well. Yes, that was sad to see. Sad to see Bill Buckner. So my baseball note, my personal baseball note for tonight was that I had a colleague at work come across me tonight, and I know this guy fairly well, but not extremely well. Most of our interactions are about work, but he had heard that I know quite a bit about sports, and he wanted to see, okay, is this just college football, the NFL? What is it? Major League Baseball, he brought up. And so he just tossed out, Mark, 1976 American League Rookie of the Year. And it took me a few seconds. Then I said, Mark the Bird Fidrich. And then I said, I can do you much better than that. He went 19-9 that year with a 2.34 ERA. So we looked it up, Baseball Reference, bam. And he's like, oh, come on. And then he said something about Keith Hernandez. And I said, well, of course, Keith Hernandez shared the 1979 National League MVP with Willie Stargell, the year he won the batting title at 344 with 11 home runs and 105 RBIs. Baseball Reference, Keith Hernandez. There you go. So that's my personal anecdote for the night on another sport, on baseball, with Bill Buckner, who won the batting title in the National League in 1980. A fairly low batting title average at 324 for the Cubs that year. All right. Anything else? Nothing from anyone. We do have Pinero 5, Pinero 5, Piru. Hang on, Shanktopotamus. So Michigan winning the Big Ten this year. Pinero 5, Piru. I hope I pronounced that correctly. And this would be the first time, certainly, I would have remembered this handle. This is the first time I've ever seen you comment to Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. So, welcome to Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football, Pinero Piru. Thank you so much for joining the channel. I would love to know who you root for and how long you've been watching, of course. All right. Nomar Garciaparra's career average. I'm going to take a stab at 303. He did win 2 batting titles. I don't believe 3. I think it was 2. 1999 and 2001, something in that range, 99 and 2000. I believe one of those years he hit like 372. That boy could play. NCIS Fanatic 21, Reds were pretty awesome back in the 70s with the Big Red Machine. Yeah, Dan Dreesen at first, Joe Morgan at second, Davey Concepcion at short, Pete Rose at third, George Foster in left, Cesar Geronimo in center, Ken Griffey Sr. in right, who almost won a batting title in 1976, but he lost it on the last day to Bill Madlock. And the catcher was, of course, the legendary, maybe the greatest catcher of all time, John Bench. Easy 1984. You got the Irish. What you got the Irish doing, Mark? All right, so we need to catch up on some Notre Dame football. I did have Ben Belden from Slap the Sign on a few days ago talking. You really have to forgive the speech at this time of the day. Although it's much better than starting at 6 or 7 o'clock in the morning. I would not be able to handle that. Ben Belden joined us from Slap the Sign a few days ago when we talked Notre Dame historically. We need to jump on the position previews, but we will get to that. So we will have for you, Notre Dame fans, and specifically whoever that was. It was Easy E 1984. We will have position previews at Notre Dame for you. I released my schedule ranking for Notre Dame, which is typically very high. I have much respect for the way the Irish schedule, but this season's schedule I don't project to be extremely difficult. Number 46 in the nation. So check out the schedule ranking video in which I believe I predicted Notre Dame to finish. Okay, projection. This was a projection, a spring projection. My official prediction will be sometime in late August, but for right now, I've got Notre Dame at 9-3. Shanktopotamus, my bad. I can't see these small letters on the iPhone here. Shanktopotamus, Mark, why don't you work on Wall Street? Yeah, I don't quite think I've got a photographic memory, but it's close sometimes. Gets worse the older I get, but it's still pretty good. Deep Barat, they play LSU at home, and Oklahoma is weak this year. Who are we talking about? Who plays LSU at home? Anyway, the rest of Big 12 is flat. Deep Barat, Deep Barat, Deep Barat. Okay. NCIS Fanatic 21 predicting Notre Dame to finish 9-3 as well. Deep Barat hates Notre Dame. NCIS Fanatic 21 losses to Georgia, Michigan, and Stanford. Of course, I'm here to answer. Easy E 1984. Mark is nice to work on Wall Street. Yeah. The Beast 96. Can UAB beat Tennessee? Can they beat Tennessee? Will they beat Tennessee? Tennessee with a much better team under Josh Dobbs at quarterback and Alvin Kamara at running back almost lost at home in the opener. 2016 to Appalachian State. Tennessee fumbled in the end zone. If an App State player would have fallen on that ball with the lead, they would have won the game. But Tennessee dove on the football and recovered to win the game. So, yes, UAB could beat Tennessee if they played. My typical answer to that question is exactly that. They could beat Tennessee. I don't believe they're going to beat Tennessee. I don't expect it, but I will not be shocked by it. I'll give UAB a 15% chance at Tennessee winning. 15%. So it's a decent, better than puncher's chance to win at Tennessee. I would expect if they played 100 times that Tennessee would win 85 times. So UAB could win. My opinion of those two teams probably won't change if UAB would win the game. If somebody asked me, okay, let's say UAB goes out and wins at Tennessee by a field goal. If somebody asked me, hey, if they played next week, who do you got? I'd say Tennessee. But I would give all due credit. I would not make excuses for Tennessee. There's a difference. It probably wouldn't change my opinion on those two teams. And I would still expect Tennessee to be a better team this season, but UAB could win the game on that given night in Knoxville. Now, if UAB totally outplays Tennessee, then that could sway my judgment about these teams. All right. Tennessee going to blow like usual. Ha, ha, ha. 44-28, 34-20, 29-16, and 45-26. Those looks like Ohio State Notre Dame scores from the 2015 Fiesta Bowl, the 2005 Fiesta Bowl, 1996 and 1995. Nice job, NCIS Fanatic 21. Shanktopotamus, Mark, do you think there is a problem with players opting for the draft too early and not playing in the team's bowl games? Absolutely, I do. So, is there a problem with it? Well, not legally or in a free market system. There's not a problem. People are free to do whatever they want. I do think we have too many situations in this day and age, in this culture, where athletes in particular are allowed, for example, in many of the major sports, especially Major League Baseball. We used to see it all the time in the NFL and still do with the likes of Le'Veon Bell this past season, where they hold out. They have a contract. And if they underperform, the team's not running to the player saying, you know what, we signed you for $10 million a year. You're underperforming. We want to restructure the contract because you suck. You're not earning your contract. That never happens, of course. But if the player outplays the contract, they whine and complain and want to have their contract torn up and restructured, even though they signed on the dotted line and knew that, hey, I'm signing for security reasons for these 5 years or 7 years, and then they outperform the contract the first couple of years and they want to renegotiate. So it swings always toward the players. In this instance, it swings toward the players in that they have been given a scholarship by a university. There's an understanding that as long as they're eligible and healthy, that they will play. But near the end of the season, has started with the bowl games, and who knows, it may creep into latter portions of the season. Let's not be surprised if a player playing for a team that's out of championship contention starts to opt to sit out the final game of the season, or maybe the final 2 games of the season, the regular season. Well, they're still getting a scholarship. They're still on scholarship. If I was a university and a player did that, boom, there goes their scholarship. And I know most of them could care less at that point because they are pulling themselves in preparation for the NFL draft. But just a matter of principle, I would do that at the university. I would say, you are reneging on your obligation and responsibility in signing this scholarship. Therefore, we're pulling the scholarship. Big Bubble Blue, honestly shocked that Michigan playing under the lights against the monster of Middle Tennessee. Okay, D-Rev Lee, no reason to play a bowl game when you could only hurt your stock or hurt yourself. So from the player's position and from their perspective, I totally get it. If you are trying to secure an NFL career, there is no reason for you personally to go out and play football and risk a serious injury. Keep in mind the lack of judgment by these players, though. I don't remember the exact count, but it was somewhere around 35 to 40 players that opted to leave school early and declare themselves eligible for the NFL draft were not drafted. This is how much of a problem this has become for the players themselves. They get bad advice. They think too highly of themselves, and they leave school early, and then they don't get drafted. Now, that doesn't mean that their pro career aspirations are over. They can go as a free agent to an NFL camp and try out, but the odds of them making it deteriorate significantly. Not as a 7th rounder versus being a free agent, but being a 2nd or 3rd or 4th rounder versus a free agent, that is significantly different. All right, somebody gives me a dumb take. Why should they play in a meaningless bowl game, or maybe somebody else? Okay. All right. Again, for the particular player, I have no criticism of their decision. They absolutely have the right to leave the team, disown the team. But see, if I was running the football program, they wouldn't be hanging out on the sideline. They're no longer a part of the team. They have made a decision to not be part of the team. So good luck. We respect your decision. We even support your decision. But if you are not going to be part of our team and go to battle with the rest of us during our bowl game, then bye. Okay. So that's one decision that needs to be made by these coaches. But they're a bit too weak in this situation. And then the other thing to take into consideration, what makes the bowl game any different than the regular season? I have this conversation from time to time when it comes up with various bloggers and analysts that come on. So take 80% of the teams in the Power 5, roughly, and with a month left in the season, they have no chance, 0 chance. They have been eliminated from winning a conference championship. Those games are meaningless. If you want to take the same perspective that the bowl games are meaningless, I could argue that the bowl game means more for several reasons than a meaningless conference game when both teams cannot win the conference. So Maryland, let's say they've already played 6 of their 9 conference games and they're 1-5, and there is no mathematical way that they can win the Big Ten Eastern Division. Well, they are playing meaningless games. Why not sit out then? What is going to stop these players from deciding the final game of the season, we're going to sit that one out? And then a few years from now, somebody's going to decide with 2 weeks left to play, we're 2-8. I'm sitting out. Those games are meaningless as well. Actually, listen to this. I guarantee for 98% of the games that are played in the regular season by the teams that we are talking about and the players that we're talking about and the teams in question, that they will have more people watching that bowl game that they play in. Certainly, this is true across the board for the group of 5. Every American Conference team, Sun Belt, MAC, Mountain West, Conference USA team, they will always have more people watching them for their bowl game than they will for any game that regular season. By far, it's not even close. Not even close. We'll have so many more people watching them on television for their bowl game than they did for any regular season game. How many of you try to watch just about every bowl game? So how many of you are watching the Northern Illinois and the Buffaloes and the App States and those type of teams play their bowl games? Many of us do. How many of those games are being watched during the regular season? No. You're watching the SEC on Saturday afternoon, and the Big Ten and the Big 12 and the Pac-12. Yes, you are watching those games. You're not watching App State unless during the first few weeks of the season they're playing a Tennessee or a Miami. You may watch that game. But those particular schools are playing to minuscule-sized television audiences compared to their bowl game. Even within the Power 5, select your game. Even if that game's as big as Alabama-Auburn or Ohio State-Michigan, that television audience is still compromised by other big games being played. Ohio State-Michigan played one of the biggest games of the season this past season, as they always do, for rivalry's sake and for just sheer record and ranking and championship on the line. But they played opposite Florida State. I believe Georgia and Georgia Tech played at the same time, and a few other games of consequence that I don't recall. So, yes, most people were watching Ohio State, Michigan play, but Georgia Tech, there was a significant audience for that game. There was a significant audience for Florida State and all the other games that were being played at noon opposite Ohio State, Michigan. More people watched Michigan and or Ohio State in their bowl games than watched the Ohio State-Michigan game. Timothy Fair, what are the chances Arizona is making a bowl game despite a tough Pac-12 games? Man, these questions are starting to pile up. This is nice that you're all on the line with me at 1:25 a.m. Eastern time, especially since I'm coming back at 11 a.m. Eastern time with my live stream, the Voice of College Football live stream over on Patreon. So please sign up there. I don't know if I'm going to get to most of these questions, so please ask them at another time. But I do want to acknowledge some people that I haven't seen prior to tonight's live stream. Carlos Wilkerson, Michael Dixon, and there was one other one. La Potencia, I've seen your handle many times. I thank you so much for watching. My thoughts on Quinnen Williams is that he's a monster. He was lightly regarded coming out of high school, but man, he dominated like few interior linemen that we've seen in recent years. Most of the best interior linemen are taking up blockers. He was like disrupting plays in the backfield and was third on the team, I believe, in tackles, which is insane considering the talent around him, considering the position he plays. That just doesn't happen. So Timothy Fair, you would be the other one. Timothy, Michael Dixon, and Carlos Wilkerson. Welcome to Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. Thank you so much for joining us. And I believe based on, I think that was Timothy's question, he's probably an Arizona fan. But all of you, I would love to know who you root for and how long you've been watching. Arizona's chances of making a bowl game. I don't know that I've gotten to, I have not yet reached Arizona in my schedule ranking. So if you're unaware of what we provide here, I do have schedule rankings. I've ranked all the Power 5 schedules from 70 all the way up to number 1. Our last schedule release was number 41, Penn State. Arizona, I do a record projection that's coming out very soon once I get to their schedule, which I believe I've ranked somewhere in the 30s. Somewhere in that range, I think. Or have I already released that video? I don't think so. But it's going to be close. They have a date against Texas Tech non-conference. That's a toss-up. And other than that, I know that last year I had an issue with Arizona's schedule against Utah's. So, of course, in the Pac-12, you play 9 conference games. Therefore, you play everyone in your division, and you only miss 2 teams in the entire conference because you've got 11 other teams in the conference and you play 9 conference games, so you only miss 2 teams. So it's crucial who you miss and who you play. But aside from the Big 12 schedule, the Pac-12 schedule is the most fair because they play 9 of a possible 11 opponents. But the issue I had last season with Utah versus Arizona, and despite this issue with the Utah schedule, I still predicted that they would go to the Pac-12 championship game, and they did. But the opponents that Utah played in the Pac-12 North Division last year were 24-12 the year before in conference play. 24-12 for Utah's opponents in the Pac-12 North. Arizona was playing teams that went 12-24, so a huge advantage for Arizona over Utah. But of course, the Utes were a much better football team. To answer your question, I don't know off the top of my head who Arizona plays in the Pac-12 North Division, but I know that it's going to be a tougher schedule than it was last year. They have Texas Tech at home. I believe that Arizona, based on my projections, is going to go 6-6. And most likely 3-6 or 4-5 in the Pac-12. Panero 5 Piru. I'm a Michigan fan, but I never seen Gary jump off my TV as a monster DE. Rashawn Gary was a bit underwhelming considering the hype that surrounded him when he left high school. I thought he should have come back, but low-key, I didn't want to see it. Thought our defense was better without him. MCD Sports 4. Maryland won't be 1-5. That was just an example, MCD Sports 4. Don't take any offense. That was a bit of an just an example. Although I wouldn't be shocked if Maryland was 1-5 after 6 games in the Big Ten. Carlos Wilkerson, nobody is watching Memphis until the bowl game, maybe the conference championship game. Exactly. Yeah, the conference championship game out of the American has been very entertaining in recent years. Michael Dixon, nobody cares about the bowl game. So, Michael, I appreciate all the comments you're giving us on the live stream. And again, this is the first time I've seen your handle in the live chat. So one of my missions here, one of my services I provide is that we say this all the time, that our content delivery is for you, the hardcore smart fan. But if you're not too smart concerning college football, then this is still a place where you are welcome because we will educate you. So people generally watch what they care about, and they care about what they watch. The bowl game ratings are better than regular season TV ratings. Do not tell me that nobody watches bowl games. Do not confuse how many people are in the seats at the game, because people don't travel typically from, if Northern Illinois is playing, what has been a recent, we had a Northern Illinois Navy, I believe it was, no, Army Northern Illinois a couple of years ago played in San Diego at the Poinsettia Bowl. Okay, people aren't going to travel from Western New York and Illinois to go to San Diego, although it's great to go to San Diego in the winter. Uh, Not enough people are going to do that to fill a 70,000 seat stadium. So on television, it looks bad. The seats are empty. The places are empty. People are watching on television. Believe me, I look at television rankings. It's my business. I've worked in the industry for 28 years. So people watch the bowl games. They care about the bowl games to some extent. All right. Carlos Wilkerson, I've talked to you on the phone before. Have you? Carlos, our latest subscriber count, based on the last I saw, was around 10,230. Again, the mind's not working too well, therefore the lips and the tongue don't work very well at this point, but 10,230. Therefore, please forgive me if I somehow miss, as Roger Clemens once said before Congress, I misremember. Shanktopotamus, the league does look at the heart and soul of people. They draft players, whatever that says. Typo. Deeper Rod, dude, there are liberals in the chat too. So we are equal opportunity viewership of college football right here, regardless of your politics. We throw our arms wide open. Too many comments to get to. MCD Sports 4 watches all the bowl games. Adam Byers, I'd like to see less bowl games and a tougher requirement to make a bowl game, 7 or 8 wins to get in. Deeper Rod, college football playoff teams, Texas, Ohio State, Alabama, Clemson. All right. So once again, I hope you guys are into our position previews. We want to track down personnel and preview all the positions of as many Power 5 teams as we can possibly get to before 2019. And we've hit a collection of teams, and more videos are coming out in the next few days involving Georgia, Kentucky, West Virginia, and more. Tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock Eastern time. So it's 1:30 in the morning, and I'm not even close to going to bed. Believe me, there's my to-do list. Equipment links. So new camera, mic. Yes. So I've got a list of links to those equipment purchases, and I need to run this by my tech guy one more time. I've got to send an email to a particular person who I appreciate very much, who has contacted me over the last several days, who is interested in helping me sell the product. So possible salesman on board here at Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. Exactly what I need. You don't survive without sales and marketing. So I have a young lady who has done an exceptional job of giving me marketing advice in recent months. She's phenomenal. And so I have that. So I've got the marketing covered. And now I may have some sales covered as well. Yes. Again, the Patreon video, that's this. So that was on my to-do list. That's the one thing I've knocked out of all that. And that's not even close to being the to-do list. This is just what I jotted down a few hours ago. So this is the one thing that I've gotten done, the Patreon video. So basically that's letting you know that this weekend at 11 o'clock Eastern time, Friday, that we will have our first of many of a series of conversations live with you on Patreon at the Voice of College Football Community. And then also on Saturday, most likely it's going to be at another time this weekend. I will announce this later when I know the specific time, will be my reaction to your viewer comments. I've got to post the audio for many of these conversations that we have. Miami, I posted that last night. Ohio State and Florida State. The audio you can find on Podbean, iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, Spotify, and something else I missed. All right. My Miami credential. So what that means on my little to-do list there, my Miami credential is that I put in 4 credentials for the Miami Florida game. And of course, they should give those to the Voice of College Football. I need to edit and post the videos that are going to be released for the rest of the weekend. And especially tomorrow, I've got nothing posted, nothing ready to be released for tomorrow. And I need to get on that. I also need to let those fine folks that view me on Facebook that I'm going to be on Patreon and everything that we've got involved and available here. And I've got to list the pros and cons of another business venture that I've got brewing that involves the Voice of College Football. All right. That's about all the damage I can do because 11 a.m. is going to come very, very soon. It's Mark Rogers TV, the Voice of College Football. Please lock it in right here. Please help us build the channel by grabbing the Amazon link in the description section below to do your Amazon shopping. Also, share the videos, please, out on social media. Join us on Facebook. So I've got a Facebook page, Mark Rogers TV. You can look it up. You should be able to find it very easily. Mark Rogers TV on Facebook. And then you could possibly find my personal Facebook page where I post videos as well for what it's worth. All right, everyone. I thank you so much for joining. I will see everyone tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern Time on Patreon at the Voice of College Football Community, and later that weekend on Patreon as well with my viewer comments reaction. It should be a whole lot of fun. See you soon.